iScrappers, Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. We hope that everyone is doing well and enjoying some of the reopenings that we're seeing. We are not here to talk about anything health related, so let's talk scrap. And we have some good news to talk about in the copper markets, the aluminum markets, the steel markets, the catalytic converter markets, the gold markets, the silver markets. Today is a good news type of a day. So once in a while, it's just a good day to have a good day. So let's do just that. Any questions that you have, feel free to ask. If we do not get to them during our live report, don't fear. Every other Wednesday, we do our Q&A where we take those questions and we make sure to get you answers as quickly as possible. So, first and foremost, I want to ask you a question. How do you like the fro? I'm waiting for my barber to open up. It's been 10, 12 weeks, so let's see what your comments are on that one. But let's talk about some of the copper prices that we've seen this week. When I wrote my blog earlier talking about the market news, we had a really great piece of news. On Monday, we saw copper prices jump 11 cents. Now that's great news, but what we have seen over the last 3 to 4 months is that any type of a substantial increase of 5 to 10 cents per pound for copper has resulted in the following day or the day after with another pullback coming. What's nice about this news is not only did we see the 11-cent increase, it held on Tuesday, and this morning the markets held for the first 3 to 4 hours, and then we saw another 3 to 4 cent increase, totaling almost 15 cents per pound of a copper jump just this week alone. Now, normally we would have a little bit of pessimism, but we are optimistic because not only has the copper prices risen, we've seen the stock market rising at the same time. We saw a couple of nice days. We did see a little bit of a down market on Tuesday, but Monday we saw over 900 points added to the market. And today we've seen a very strong market opening, spurred by a couple of comments. We saw one comment by the president of Delta Airlines saying that he fully expects travel to resume on a much normal rate in the next 12 to 18 months. Yes, that's a long period of time, but what does that mean for commodity prices? That means that the airline executives, as well as dozens of other industries, whether it's manufacturing, car making, or any other technology-driven electronics that are being built, they're going to have a much quicker recovery than many people were looking at. And that's a positive thing for us to see. Now, when we're looking at these things, not only have we started to see manufacturing opening back up, we've seen more of a demand, we've seen more cars on the road, more trucks on the road, and what that means is the domino effect is starting to take shape back to the way that it was a few months ago. Think about your normal day-to-day travel. You wake up, you get in your car, you drive to work, maybe you buy lunch, maybe you buy a coffee, you go home, but your car is constantly getting miles on it. What does that mean? You get an oil change on a consistent basis. You're filling your gas tank up consistently. Wear and tear on the car, which means that auto mechanics are fixing cars, where right now, if you need something done, you probably don't even need an appointment. Again, how does this come back to commodities? What it does is it creates more wear and tear, so commodities are going to be getting recycled, reused a little more frequently because they're going to be getting put back into the economy, into the regular day-to-day flow much quicker. So those are some of the things that we look for the metals market to help spur some of the recoveries and the further price increases. Now, we've also seen the aluminum market ticking up. While it's only a couple of cents a pound, let us tell you why that's so important. We've seen aluminum prices stalemated for the last 2 years with the trade disputes, the tariff disagreements. But then back in January, we saw the signing of the Phase 1 trade deal between the United States and China. Before that trade deal even got the opportunity to get started, we were hit by the pandemic, and we've seen a flat line, if not a downward trend, on that trade deal over the last 3 to 4 months. Now that we're starting to get things back into a normal gear, whether it's domestically or internationally, what that means is we're starting to have more material flowing, both from the United States to China and from China to the United States, whether they're farm produce goods or manufacturing goods like technologies. Virginia, we have a question.
We have two questions.
Great.
Kenny asks about O2 sensors.
Okay.
And then Sean mentioned number 2, copper is up 10 cents. Is it going to go up anymore?
Sean, excellent question, and I'll address yours first. What was the gentleman's first name? The first question?
Kenny.
Kenny. So I'll go after Sean's question about number 2, copper. If I knew that the copper prices were going to go up, I would be doing this report from my own island, sipping a pina colada, because I could tell the future. I didn't even see the market jumping 15 cents in 2.5 days, so I don't know if it's going to go up. I talked to someone yesterday who talked about a phrase, just talking about inflation, right? Hyperinflation. And that phrase means that with the amount of money that was pumped into the U.S. economy, as well as the billions, if not trillions of dollars of stimulus money that's being pumped into multiple economies throughout the world, we don't know what's going to happen to some goods and some prices going forward. You know, they talked about a price of bread being $3 in the morning and $4.50 in the afternoon with hyperinflation. So we don't know where some of these pricing chains are going to go or where they're going to lead. But right now we're happy with where they are. And if you looked at our scrapyard here in New Jersey, we're empty. We don't hold things because we think that this market has been very strong, all things considered, when you look at the stock market that had dropped 30 to 40% at one point. When you look at the oil prices that dipped into the negative territory, when you look at the investors putting so much money into the gold market, with gold at 7.5-year highs today. So I think that the number 2 market, if you have a 10-cent jump, I think that's a very strong jump and you should capitalize on that. Our other question about O2 sensors. O2 sensors are generally in the catalytic converters, helps to monitor some of the oxygen that's been able to flow through. So when you're using your catalytic converter and the emissions are going from the engine through the catalytic converter, let's say a piece gets broken or the catalytic converter slightly gets clogged. That O2 sensor is monitoring the oxygen that's going in, and when it's monitoring the oxygen that's going in, we're able to, sorry, my phone just kept buzzing nonstop. When we see the oxygen going in, that means that you could have a problem if you start to get some type of lights going off on your dashboard, which means you might need to get a change. So there is a little bit of platinum in that O2 sensor, which almost acts as a thermometer in really dumbed down form, but you should always take those O2 sensors out and you can make a couple of extra dollars with them. While we're on the subject of catalytic converters, after talking about the O2 sensors, we'd love to tell you about some of those markets. We've seen the catalytic converter market really recover nicely over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And if you have had the opportunity to get quoted through our sister company, rrcats.com, that's rrcats.com, you'll be able to see some of the market news, some of the increases in prices that we've seen over the last few weeks. We've seen rhodium prices going from $5,500 an ounce to $7,700. We've seen platinum prices jumping $100 an ounce. Palladium topping over $2,000 an ounce again after dropping down to the $1,700, $1,800 range. So we've seen some really, really nice market changes over the last few weeks. And if you sign up for some of the news blasts through rrcats.com, you'll be able to see some of these market changes and even give us the opportunity to quote you on your cats. Other markets, oil prices have now risen in multiple consecutive days. I believe over the last 5 to 6 days we've seen oil prices rise. While some people like having those cheaper gas prices, who wouldn't? What the higher gas prices and the higher oil prices will mean is a higher steel price as well. Now, on top of that, we had someone send us a report earlier today talking about some of the striking that's going on in South America at some of the iron ores, at the iron mines that bring iron ore out, which has caused some uptick in some of the prices as well. We've seen on the East Coast a bit of a gap on light iron, so we've seen the different shredder yards increasing their light iron prices. We've seen the unprepared markets jumping $10 to $15 over the last 2 weeks. And these are all very positive signs, especially heading into the summer, which tends to be the busier time of the year for most of the scrapping community because more people are outside. School is out, not this school is out early thing that we're used to, but projects that are going to get done at schools, new HVAC systems, upgrades throughout the public sector. All of those things really happen over the summer months when people are taking, vacation time, when school isn't in session. So we'll start to see a lot of those projects increasing. We'll see a lot of construction reopening. A lot of projects have had the pause button put on them, if not the stop button. So we'll see a lot of those restarting over the next 4 to 6 or 8 weeks, depending on what state you're in. So this will cause a little more upward trend on the oil and the gas prices as more planes get put into the sky. I mentioned it last week. I'm looking out into the blue sky, in front of me right now, and I see no planes. And we're in that New York tri-state metropolitan area, only 35 miles from Newark Airport, and there's normally planes flying all over the place. And there's none. I can see zero right now. And at any time, I would always see 1 to 2 planes just looking up quickly in a small window looking out. So imagine what the rest of the country looks like with the lack of planes flying. But we have started to see the airline industry picking itself up, which means that the high-speed aerotechnology industry will be needing more metals. We're hoping to see an increase in the nickel prices, which will affect your stainless steels, your Inconels, your Monels, those whole things. But we've seen a lot of that aerospace industry really slowing itself down to a very grinding halt. But we're starting to see that pick itself up as well, and that will affect some of your higher temperature alloys and metals that you sell day to day as well. Now, we are looking at these markets, we are watching them, we are really, really focused in on finding more pertinent information that can give you more information about the scrap market and what's going on. So if you have any further questions about these, make sure you ask us, because next week on the 27th, Wednesday the 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing our Facebook Live, and we'll have a lot of Q&A going on. A lot of questions will be getting asked. But I think we have one more question before we sign out, Virginia.
Yeah, we have a couple. One concerning current prices and another one concerning a recent change with a scrapyard. So Ryan first asked, why is my scrapyard asking for a letter as to where and who I got big copper aluminum radiator from a pool pump from before they buy it? Mm-hmm. And then we also have a question about Jackie mentioned that a local shredder company offered $145 a ton on automobiles. Have prices jumped nationally?
Yes. So let's attack the first question, the question about the letter. Certain states have had different laws getting reinstituted or instituted for the first time, just making sure that they're able to track where things are coming from. Unfortunately, when tough times happen, we do see scrap theft increase, or if copper prices increase, we do see scrap theft increase. And what scrap yards are trying to do, they're trying to protect themselves by having a letter so they can have, some type of a chain. If the authorities, if the police come, they can match, people that sold different items, and you just protect yourself. So if you're doing good business and getting it from the right place, you shouldn't have any issue giving that letter, especially because you're already giving them your license and they know who you are. We have seen different shredding facilities increasing their pricing. As I talked about, those light iron and shred prices have increased. I'll talk about some quick prices right now, and on Sunday we'll have a couple more price alerts that are going to go out there for Memorial Day weekend. Bear Bright, we've seen $2 a pound, $2.02. 187, 176, national average around 180 before this additional uptick that we saw this morning. Number 2, copper prices, 147, 156, 162, 171. So those prices, again, uptick around 160 is your national average. Yellow brass, 94, 97, 98, and $1.05 per pound for your yellow brass prices that we've seen reported. Sheet aluminum, very weak, 12 cents. 14 cents. 19 cents, highest price, 21 cents per pound for sheet aluminum. 6061 clean, 24 cents a pound, 27 cents a pound, 31 cents a pound. Very weak aluminum market right now. Weak aluminum market is going to affect your aluminum copper radiators, your ACRs coming out of your air conditioning units. We've seen the ACR market for clean ACRs, 72 cents a pound, 76 cents a pound, 80 cents a pound, highest price, 84 cents a pound. Light iron, lowest price, $20 a ton. Highest price, $145, but that was also for shred. Someone also reported that price recently, so thank you for tuning us into your pricing as well. Scrappers, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we try to get our market news pushed out for you. For the Memorial Day weekend, we would like to take one quick minute to thank all of the first responders that are out there, as well as really appreciating what Memorial Day is for, thanking all of the previous service members who have served our country since 1776. All of those people that sacrificed their lives for us to be able to live ours. We thank you and your families for the service that you provided to us over the years and really continue to this day. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you this market news. Don't forget, Wednesday, May 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing our weekly report, but we'll have a heavy Q&A session in there. So if you have questions, make sure you ask them. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until next week, I'll scrap you later.